Are they seriously letting them compete? The voice echoed through the crystalline halls of the Galactic Coliseum, sharp as a blade and heavy with disbelief. Every head turned toward the entry gate where 6 figures in sleek black exosuits stood, the last team to arrive. The smallest, the newest, and the only ones from a blue planet called Earth. Commander Ryan Holt adjusted his collar, scanning the towering alien faces that watched them with amusement, suspicion, and more than a little fear. "Yeah," he said, his voice steady and confident. "They're letting us in. Try not to blink. You might miss history being written," the crowd murmured, rippling with unease and curiosity. Inside Ryan's chest, his heart pounded like a drum of war, though his face showed nothing but calm swagger. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Aisha Vale, whispered through the comlink, "Sir, I count at least 40 species represented. All armed, all faster, all stronger," Ryan smirked. "Yeah, but none of them are human." A hush fell over the arena as the lights dimmed, and the colossal holographic figure of the Arbiter appeared, its 1,000 eyes gleaming. "Welcome to the 50th Galactic Decathlon, where empires rise and fall in a single breath. The last team has entered, the humans." The word rolled across the stadium like a thunderclap. Some spectators laughed, others jeered. But a few, very few, watched in silence, calculating. Aisha's throat tightened. "They hate us already." "Good," Ryan said, eyes locked on the Arbiter. "That means they'll never see it coming." The Galactic Games were more than just sport. They were war disguised as entertainment. Races, combats, mind duels, survival tests in hostile worlds, each round designed to test not just strength but evolution itself. The prize wasn't just glory. It was membership, a seat among the civilizations that ruled the stars. No species from a level 2 planet had ever even qualified before. Humanity had skipped 1,000 years of expected evolution to get here, and no one could explain how. The secret was simple: desperation. Earth had less than a decade before ecological collapse. This wasn't just a competition for humanity. It was survival by spectacle. From the stands, the alien commentators whispered, "Humans? The soft-world primates? They breed chaos. No discipline. I've heard they have no hive structure. How can they coordinate?" Ryan's earpiece picked up every sneer. He grinned. "Let them talk. Noise is just fear with bad manners." Behind him, his team adjusted their suits. There was Kai, the quiet strategist with eyes that seemed to calculate galaxies. Lyra, the medic engineer whose hands could build or heal anything. Mason, a soldier built like iron but with the gentlest voice. And Tessa, the youngest, a pilot with reflexes that blurred physics. They had trained in silence for months aboard a derelict moon station, unseen and unheard, watched only by the shadows of Earth's last orbital defense fleet. Now, they stood in the light of 1,000 suns. A voice thundered through the air. "Contestants, prepare for the trial of Genesis." The floor beneath them split into fractal patterns of light, the air humming with energy. Holographic streams projected across the sky. Countdown timers, planetary coordinates, survival indexes. Ryan's HUD blinked red. Objective: build a sustainable base on an uncharted world within 6 hours. Last team standing advances. The catch? They weren't told what lived there. Aisha inhaled sharply. "Sir, it's a kill zone. Everything worth winning is," Ryan said, his eyes narrowing as the teleportation rings began to glow beneath their feet. For a heartbeat, the world around them went silent, utterly still. Then, as they vanished into light, a low voice from the stands whispered, "If the humans survive this, the games will never be the same." They landed hard. Sand hissed underfoot. A storm of crimson dust whirled in the alien sky. Jagged black monoliths jutted from the ground like the teeth of a dead god. Tessa squinted. "This planet's atmosphere is unstable. Radiation spikes every minute." "Then we move fast," Ryan said. "Kai, scan for resources." "Mason, secure perimeter." Lyra, set up a medbay. "Aisha, link our comms to the satellite ring." "Copy that," they chorused. Above them, lightning split the sky, revealing shadows moving. Something massive. Hunting. Lyra's voice cracked through static. "Sir, I'm reading heat signatures." "Not human. Not friendly." Ryan raised his rifle, scanning the storm. "Let them come." The wind howled, carrying distant screams of other teams already falling. A timer appeared on every visor. 5 hours, 59 minutes. Ryan smirked. Clock's ticking, team. Let's show the galaxy why they should have left Earth alone. The storm roared, and something in the darkness roared back. The ground shook like a heartbeat beneath their boots. Contact, North Quadrant. Mason barked, his visor flickering with thermal shadows. 3, no, 4 hostiles incoming. Ryan swung his rifle up, its targeting laser slicing through the dust storm. A blur of movement, then something leapt from the crimson haze. A monster, 8 feet tall, plated in metallic chitin, eyes burning like molten glass. A Dravok, one of the oldest warbred species in the games. Dravok shouldn't even be here, Lyra hissed, ducking behind a rock spire. They were disqualified 2 cycles ago. Guess the rules bend when humans show up, Aisha replied coldly, locking her pistol. Ryan smirked, stepping forward as lightning flashed overhead, painting the battlefield in ghostly light. Let's make them regret the invitation, he fired once. The plasma bolt hit true, exploding through the Dravok's chest in a burst of molten light. The beast crumpled, screaming in a voice like tearing metal. The others charged, shrieking. Mason met them head-on, his exogloves glowing white-hot as he slammed 2 of them into the dust. Aisha's precision shots cut through the third's armor like silk, and then silence. The red dust swirled. The team stood breathing hard, their suits spattered with alien ichor. Kai's voice broke the quiet. That wasn't random. They were guarding something. Ryan turned, eyes narrowing. Show me. Kai tapped his wrist console. A 3D map unfolded in midair. Buried deep beneath their position pulsed a structure emitting faint energy signatures. Power core? Lyra asked. No, Kai said softly. Something older. Something alive. They dug for an hour through the storm, lightning cracking overhead. Every strike illuminated the dead. Other teams already fallen. Shattered ships, burned flags, silent armor. Humanity's first day in the games had already taken a toll. But Ryan kept digging. Sweat ran down his neck, the taste of dust and ozone thick in his mouth. When his spade struck metal, a resonant hum filled the air. Found it, he said. They cleared the sand away to reveal a smooth, circular surface, ancient, etched with alien runes that shimmered when touched. Lyra crouched, scanning. This isn't just machinery. It's transmitting a code. Aisha frowned. To who? Before anyone could answer, the surface pulsed. A blinding beam of light shot upward, cutting through the storm. Tessa yelped, shielding her eyes. What did we just wake up? The ground trembled again, but this time it wasn't from footsteps. The air filled with a deep resonant tone, a frequency that made bones ache. Kai's expression changed. Fear, wonder, awe all at once. It's a beacon. Ryan's heart sank. For what? Kai looked up. For whatever used to own this planet. Across the sky, stars shifted. And then, movement. Something massive stirred beyond the clouds. Too large to be seen, but its shadow stretched across the horizon. The storm itself seemed to recoil. Lyra whispered, Sir, this planet's supposed to be dead. Ryan's voice was low, calm, unshaken. Then why is it waking up? Elsewhere, miles above the world, the Arbiter's voice boomed across the Galactic Coliseum. Contestant update. Human team has triggered a planetary defense system. Spectators remain calm. The crowd erupted in chaos. Idiots, hissed a Solarian warlord.
They'll destroy the arena feed.
They tampered with sacred relics, cried another. But amid the noise, one alien, a tall, silver-skinned being with bright green eyes, smiled faintly. No, they understand. The games aren't about strength. They're about defiance. Back on the planet, the sky split open. From the clouds descended something ancient, mechanical wings the size of mountains, forged from forgotten alloys, powered by cores that glowed like dying stars. A guardian drone from a civilization extinct for millennia. Everyone down, Ryan roared. The machine fired, vaporizing a ridge where they had stood seconds earlier. Sir, Aisha shouted, there's no way we can fight that. Ryan's grin returned. Then we don't fight it. We outthink it. He tapped his wrist control, activating their exo-drone. Tessa, you still got that EMP charge you said I'd never need? Yeah, she said, pulling a small device from her belt. And you said we'd never have to run from gods either. First time for everything, Ryan replied, eyes gleaming. They sprinted through the storm, dodging debris and plasma strikes, every second a heartbeat closer to death. The countdown timer flashed in their visors. Hours, 17 minutes remaining. Lyra, I need a distraction. Ryan barked. She nodded, setting her wrist module to overload. A burst of false signals erupted skyward, dozens of holographic human signatures. The machine turned, firing wildly into the decoys. Now, Ryan shouted. Tessa leapt onto a rock ledge, hurled the EMP, and dove for cover. A flash. A deafening boom. The Guardian froze midair, its lights flickering, its wings stuttering. Then, like a dying star, it crashed into the red sands, sending shockwaves across the wasteland. The humans rose, coughing, covered in dust but smiling. Mason exhaled, laughing weakly. Well, Commander, we're still here. Ryan looked at the fallen giant, then up at the crimson sky. And now they know we don't scare easy. The storm began to fade. The timer ticked down. Somewhere in the distance, the faint hum of more engines echoed. New threats incoming. Ryan turned to his team, voice low and steady. Get ready. That was just the welcome round. The sky above them shimmered again, an ominous glow spreading through the clouds. Whatever was coming next. It was watching. Commander Holt, incoming signal from orbit. Aisha's voice crackled through static. Ryan raised his wrist link. Patch it through. A hologram shimmered to life above his glove, the symbol of the Galactic Committee spinning cold and bright. Then came the voice of the Arbiter, deep and resonant. Human team, your actions have violated Rule 72, interference with planetary relics. Do you deny it? Ryan smirked, despite the exhaustion clawing at him. We don't deny surviving. If that's a crime, charge us guilty. A pause. Then in that silence, a faint tremor of irritation crossed the Arbiter's mechanical tone. You may have survived, Commander Holt. But at what cost? You have awakened something the games were never meant to face. The hologram flickered out. Kai turned to Ryan. He's not bluffing. That thing we took down, there's more like it. Probably all linked to that beacon. Ryan dusted off his suit. Good. Then we just made this competition interesting. As the storm cleared, the crimson sky gave way to a vast horizon, ruins of an ancient city half buried in dust. Broken towers leaned at impossible angles, still humming faintly with residual power. Lyra crouched, brushing sand from a shattered emblem carved into the stone. Same markings as the beacon. This whole planet's one giant machine. Tessa looked around warily. Then why's it dead? Ryan's gaze lingered on the horizon. Maybe it's waiting for someone to remind it what it's built for. A faint rumble answered him. Kai's sensors lit up instantly. Movement, multiple signatures, east flank. Not machines this time, biological. Teams from other species? Mason asked. Kai shook his head. Too coordinated. Too silent. Then they appeared. Sleek figures moving like shadows, their armor reflecting the color of the sand. The Vornik. Predators. Assassins bred for these games. Their leader stepped forward, his voice like silk wrapped around steel. Human, you woke the storm. You owe us blood. Ryan met his gaze without flinching. You'll have to earn it. The Vornik struck like lightning. Energy blades clashed in blinding arcs. Plasma fire tore through dust and light. Tessa weaved through their ranks, her jetpack kicking up plumes of red dust, striking fast and vanishing before their sensors could track. Mason held the line, his fists glowing white as he absorbed kinetic shocks that would have crushed bones. Aisha ducked low, firing precise bursts that dropped enemies before they even registered the shots. Ryan, moving like instinct itself, faced the Vornik leader. Their weapons clashed, steel against light, strength against precision. The alien sneered. You fight like chaos, Ryan grinned. Chaos wins wars. He ducked under a swing, drove his blade upward, and the Vornik's eyes widened as the human strike found its mark. The alien fell, collapsing into the dust. Silence. Then, as if sensing defeat, the remaining Vornik vanished into thin air, retreating, their bodies dissolving into particles of light. Lyra rushed forward. They weren't real. Projections part of the trial. Ryan breathed out, lowering his weapon. So the games are testing more than survival. They're testing reaction. Above the planet in the observation dome, the galactic elite watched with growing tension. They adapt too quickly. muttered the Jarek Prime, her voice like grinding stone. Humans should have perished by now. The silver-skinned observer leaned forward, his eyes bright. That's because they don't play by instinct. They improvise. That's their strength, another alien hissed. Then they are dangerous. He smiled faintly. Exactly. Back on the surface, the human team regrouped in the shadow of a broken tower. Lyra treated Mason's bruised shoulder while Tessa recalibrated her jetpack. Aisha sat with her back against a wall, staring up at the faint shimmer of stars through the thinning storm. She spoke softly. You think they hate us because we're different? Ryan didn't answer right away. He watched the horizon, eyes hard. No. They hate us because we remind them of what they used to be before they got comfortable. Before fear made them predictable. Kai looked up from his scanner. That beacon we triggered, it's still active. Broadcasting deeper now, maybe even beyond this system. Ryan turned to him sharply. You saying we just sent a signal to something outside the arena? Kai nodded. I think we woke something the galaxy forgot existed. For a moment, no one spoke. The wind whispered through hollow towers like voices of ghosts. Then Tessa broke the silence. If that's true, are we in danger? Ryan smiled faintly. We've been in danger since the moment we were born. That's what makes us human. Suddenly the air shimmered again, another hologram forming above them. But this time it wasn't the Arbiter. It was someone else. A woman. Human. Her face pale and worn, her voice trembling with static. Ryan, this is Earth Command. You're off protocol. The game's feed is broadcasting planet-wide chaos. Every species is watching you. Whatever you're doing, it's making them nervous. Ryan's eyes softened. Good. Nervous people make mistakes. Ryan, she said again, her tone breaking. We can't afford mistakes. If you lose, the treaty's void. Earth will be stripped. A heavy silence fell. The team stared at him, the weight of her words sinking in. Ryan finally nodded. Then we don't lose. The hologram flickered out, leaving only the red dust and the hum of the beacon signal echoing like a heartbeat beneath their feet. Kai looked uneasy. Sir, there's something else. The signal isn't just a transmission. It's a countdown. Ryan's expression hardened. How long? Kai swallowed. 40 minutes, the commander straightened. Eyes glinting with that unmistakable human fire. Then let's find out what happens when the clock hits 0. The beacon's hum grew louder, low, pulsing, alive. Every vibration seemed to echo through their bones. Kai's scanner flickered erratically. Energy levels rising fast. If this keeps up, it's going to detonate, or worse. Define worse, Tessa said, her voice cracking slightly as she steadied her hands over the controls of her portable drone. Kai hesitated. Planetary chain reaction. This whole world could tear itself apart. Ryan glanced at the timer flickering in his visor. Eero 3954. A slow smile spread across his face, calm, unshaken, defiant. Then we make sure it takes everyone else before it takes us. Aisha frowned. Sir, please tell me that's a metaphor. Mostly, Ryan replied, turning toward the pulsing light that painted the ancient ruins in waves of red and gold. Lyra, I need options. How do we stop a world from blowing up under our boots? Lyra's fingers danced across her wrist console. If we can isolate the beacon's core and rewire the feedback loop, we might contain it. How long? Ryan asked. She looked up, eyes wide. 40 minutes. Give or take, Tessa snorted. Give or take what, our lives? Lyra didn't smile. Exactly. Above them, high in orbit, the Galactic Coliseum buzzed with chaos. Billions of spectators from 100 civilizations watched the live feed in disbelief. On the grand dais, the Arbiter's many eyes flickered in confusion. Containment protocols breached. The human anomaly continues. Observation required, observation, roared a scaled ambassador. They're infecting the games with chaos. They are rewriting the very rules, whispered the silver-skinned observer, his tone more reverent than angry. Do you not see it? They are what the games were created to find, a species that refuses to yield. Back on the surface, Mason stood watch over the perimeter, his massive form silhouetted against the glow of the beacon. Movement, 3 o'clock, he muttered. Shapes emerged from the crimson haze. Another team. They weren't friendly. Their leader, a towering reptilian with obsidian armor, lifted his weapon. The humans, he hissed. You broke the games. You will not leave this planet. Ryan didn't flinch. Funny. That's exactly what we were about to tell you. Before the alien could reply, Mason was already charging forward, fists like meteors. The air cracked with the impact. Tessa's drones darted between the enemy ranks, firing bursts of plasma and sonic pulses. Isha moved like a shadow, her sniper rounds punching through armor at impossible range. For every alien that fell, 2 more took their place. The sky was a blur of fire and smoke, and in the middle of it all, Ryan Holt moved like he belonged there. He fought not for glory, not for a prize, but for the right to be seen. To exist in a galaxy that had already decided humanity didn't belong. Sir, Lyra's voice tore through the comm. I need that access conduit clear. It's under that ridge, covered in debris. Ryan sprinted toward it, sliding under falling stone, tearing away panels with his bare hands. He glimpsed the beacon's core for the first time. Brilliant, almost beautiful. A sphere of light spinning inside layers of alien glass. It was alive. He could feel it watching him. Lyra. Talk to me, he said, crouching beside the core. She was sweating, fingers trembling as she worked through code in a language that wasn't hers. It's like it's reading me. Every time I overwrite a sequence, it changes itself. Can you still shut it down? She hesitated. Maybe, but I don't think it wants to be shut down. Ryan stared into the light, his reflection rippling in the glowing surface. Then maybe it's waiting for something. The beacon's pulse slowed, as if listening. Commander, Kai said quietly, what if this isn't a weapon? What if it's a signal calling for help? Ryan frowned. Help from what? Before anyone could answer, the beacon's tone deepened into a roar, ancient, resonant, echoing across the entire planet. The dust lifted. The air itself shimmered. Then the ground cracked open. From the fissures rose titanic structures, towers of obsidian, forming a ring around the beacon. Each pulsed with blue fire, their surfaces crawling with runes. Kai stared in awe. Constructing something. Lyra's voice trembled. Not constructing, awakening. The sky darkened, clouds twisting into a vortex. Lightning arced down in perfect patterns, striking the towers like a symphony of precision. Ryan's visor flashed an incoming feed. Galactic broadcast override. The Arbiter's face filled the sky, booming. Contestants, cease all interference. The beacon world is forbidden. Evacuate immediately! But Ryan didn't move. His eyes stayed locked on the light. They're scared, he murmured. Aisha turned to him. Who? He looked up at the vortex spiraling into the heavens. Everyone watching. Mason's armor was scorched. Tessa's drones shattered, and Lyra's hands were bleeding from the heat of her tools. The timer in their HUDs blinked red. Thor's 09.12. Sir, if we don't stop it, it'll trigger a chain collapse through the whole system, Lyra warned. Ryan crouched beside her, voice calm. Then we changed the outcome. You said it responds to you, right? She nodded shakily. Then stop trying to fight it, talk to it, convince it. Lyra blinked, tears streaking through the dust on her cheeks. Talk to a machine built 1 million years ago? Ryan's tone softened. You're human. We've been talking our way out of extinction since we learned to stand. She hesitated, then placed her hand against the glowing surface. If you can hear me, she whispered, we're not your enemies. We just want to survive. The light flared, brilliant, blinding, and the hum shifted, softer now, almost gentle. The timer froze at 0003. Then, slowly the beacon powered down, silence fell. The storm faded. Tessa exhaled shakily. Did we just stop the apocalypse? Kai checked his scanner. The energy's stabilizing. The planet's safe. Ryan stood tall, watching the beacon dim. No, he said quietly. Not safe. Just awake. High above, unseen by any of them. A ripple spread through space. A message carried on frequencies long dead. In the distant void, something answered, and for the first time, even Ryan Holt felt fear. The light died slowly, fading from blinding white to a dull, trembling blue. The beacon's hum settled into silence, leaving only the whisper of the wind across broken stone. No one spoke for a long moment. Then Tessa broke it, her voice thin. So, we just saved a planet. Shouldn't there be, I don't know, fireworks? Ryan didn't smile. He was staring at the horizon, where the crimson clouds were thinning, revealing stars that flickered unnaturally, as if something vast had disturbed them. Kai's scanner buzzed. Commander, the signal didn't stop. It changed direction. It's not broadcasting out anymore. Ryan turned. Then where's it going? Kai hesitated. Up to orbit, Lyra frowned. To the games' satellites? No, Kai whispered, eyes widening. Through them. Above the planet, in the colossal arena ship drifting among the stars, alarms screamed. Technicians of a dozen species scrambled through corridors of light and glass. Holographic feeds flickered wildly, showing every angle of the human team's world. The beacon signal is overriding containment, barked a Jarek overseer, his scaled hands flying over the controls. It's rewriting our systems, all of them. In the grand observation chamber, the Arbiter turned its many eyes toward the chaos. Contain it. We can't, replied the silver-skinned observer quietly. It's integrating with the arena core. The Arbiter's head rotated, the sound like grinding metal. Explain. The humans didn't just survive the test, the observer said, his voice low, trembling with awe. They merged with it. Down below, the sky bled blue fire. Bolts of plasma streaked across the heavens, burning symbols into the atmosphere. The towers around the beacon began to shift again. Not growing, not awakening, but communicating. The air filled with sound, a single tone that wasn't mechanical, wasn't natural. It was voice-like. Lyra stumbled backward, clutching her head. It's speaking. Aisha steadied her. You understand it? Not words. Feelings, Lyra gasped. Curiosity, recognition. Ryan's gaze hardened. Recognition of what? Her eyes met his. Of us. The ground trembled again, but this time the movement wasn't random. The sand flowed away like a tide retreating, revealing an enormous structure beneath their feet. Circles upon circles of alien writing, glowing faintly. Kai stared down. This isn't a city. It's a memory vault. Ryan crouched, tracing one of the rings with his gloved hand. The lines pulsed under his touch. Responding to him, a beam of light shot upward, and suddenly, the world around them shifted. They stood no longer in ruins, but in the past, or what looked like it. The sky was clear, the city whole again. Towering spires shimmered under twin suns. Thousands of beings, tall, graceful, glowing with bioluminescent veins, moved through the streets. Tessa gasped. We're inside a projection. No, Kai whispered, voice shaking. We're inside their memory. The vision moved like a dream. They watched as the ancient civilization, the architects, built machines of impossible scale. Cities that floated, weapons that could sculpt light itself. But then, the vision darkened, a war, fire raining from the heavens, their own creations turning against them. The architects screamed, vanished, fell. The beacon's glow flickered, replaying their final moments. A desperate act, locking their knowledge into the planet itself, sealing away something vast and dangerous, and then, one final image, a figure, an architect reaching toward a small blue star, whispering something in a voice none of them understood. Then the light collapsed. They were back in the ruins. Lyra's voice trembled. They saw us coming. Ryan turned to her sharply. What? That last star in their memory, it was Earth. They knew humanity would rise one day. This beacon wasn't a trap. It was a message. Aisha frowned. A message saying what? Lyra looked up at the pulsing core. That the galaxy needs to remember what it means to fight for survival. Above them, the games' control ship rocked violently. Lightning crackled through its artificial shields. The Arbiter roared, "Cut the human feed! Terminate their access!" But the silver-skinned observer only smiled faintly. It's too late. The beacon is part of them now. The games will never be the same. The Arbiter turned all thousand eyes toward him. You speak as if you welcome this chaos. He met its gaze without fear. Because chaos, Arbiter, is life. Back on the planet, the humans stood together as the beacon began to dim, its glow softening to a heartbeat's rhythm. The timer reappeared on their visors, new digits counting down from 0030 Wanner. Tessa exhaled. Another countdown? What now? Kai read his scanner, his face pale. The signal's spreading system-wide. Every arena planet, every broadcast relay, whatever we woke up, it's about to go everywhere. Lyra looked at Ryan. We should shut it down. Ryan's voice was calm. We can't, it's bigger than us now. Then what do we do? Aisha asked. He looked at his team. Their dust-covered faces, their burning eyes, their unbroken resolve. "We finish the games," he said simply. "We show the galaxy why they should have never underestimated humanity." Thunder rumbled in the distance, and a shadow swept across the horizon. Massive ships descending from orbit. The next phase of the games already beginning. Ryan smirked, wiping grime from his face. "Guess intermission's over." Mason cracked his knuckles. "Good, I was getting bored." Aisha loaded her rifle. "Commander, what if they come for us now?" Ryan's smile didn't fade. "Then they'll wish they hadn't." He turned toward the horizon, where fire and light were already blooming like dawn. The beacon pulsed one last time. Its glow reflected in his eyes defiance, destiny, and something no alien algorithm could measure: hope. The horizon burned silver. Ships, dozens of them, descended through the atmosphere like spears of light. Each bore the sigil of a different species, each armed for one purpose: eliminate the human anomaly. Contact. Multiple hostiles. Mason called out. "And they're not here to congratulate us." Ryan Holt adjusted his collar, eyes locked on the incoming fleet. "Good. Means we're finally getting noticed." The beacon hummed behind them like a living heart, its glow steady now, watching them. It pulsed in sync with Ryan's heartbeat, as if it understood. Lyra glanced up, her face tight. "If they attack the beacon directly, the whole planet goes critical again. We'll lose everything." Ryan nodded slowly. "Then we don't let them touch it." Aisha looked at him, incredulous. "Sir, that's an armada," he smirked. "And we're humanity. We've been outnumbered since day one." The first salvo struck. Plasma fire turned the sky into chaos. Explosions rippled across the dunes, waves of energy shaking the ruins. The humans scattered to cover, their exosuits flaring with shield bursts. Tessa piloted her rebuilt drones into the air, weaving between laser beams, firing back with impossible precision. Mason braced himself beside a fallen obelisk, his kinetic gauntlets glowing. Each time a blast hit, he absorbed the energy, then hurled it back as a shockwave that shattered enemy hulls. Aisha's rifle sang with deadly rhythm, every shot an answer to arrogance, and in the middle of it all, Ryan moved like a conductor, every order, every decision weaving chaos into strategy. "Lyra, sync your interface to the beacon. Let's see if this ancient thing can still fight." Her hands flew across her console. "Working on it, wait." "I think it's responding." The beacon's light intensified, streaks of blue and gold crackling upward. Energy coiled into the sky, and then like a god waking from sleep, the planet fought back. Bolts of lightning shot upward, striking alien ships with surgical precision. The battlefield turned into a storm. Kai stared at the readings in awe. "It's adapting, Commander. It's protecting us." Ryan grinned. "Guess the galaxy finally picked a side." In orbit, the game's broadcast feed surged with interference. Billions watched as the screens filled with light, as the primitive humans stood their ground against armadas that had crushed entire empires. Commentators of 100 tongues fell silent. Even the Arbiter's voice trembled for the first time in recorded memory. "This is not regulation combat," it declared. "This is rebellion." The silver-skinned observer turned, his smile faint. "No, this is evolution." Back on the surface, smoke filled the air. The ground quaked with the sound of falling wreckage. Mason staggered beside Ryan, armor scorched. "They're regrouping, sir." "We can't keep this up forever." Ryan looked toward the horizon, more ships descending. His jaw tightened. "We don't need forever. Just one more move." He tapped his wrist, opening a private channel to his team. "Listen up. We're not just fighting to win. We're fighting to change the rules. Every second we survive, every ship we drop, someone out there watching is questioning what they've been told about us." Tessa's voice crackled through the comm. "And if we die?" Ryan's tone softened. "Then the galaxy remembers that we fought like no one else ever dared to." Lyra's voice came next, quiet but firm. "Then let's make them remember." A blast struck nearby, sending debris flying. A shard pierced Lyra's side. She cried out, falling. Ryan was there in an instant, catching her before she hit the ground. "Stay with me," he said. Her lips trembled, blood staining the corner of her mouth. "It's okay. Just finish it." He clenched his jaw. "No one gets left behind." She smiled faintly. "You still don't get it, do you? That beacon, it's linked to us. It's learning from our emotions. From our will." Ryan's eyes widened. You're saying it's becoming human, she whispered. The beacon flared, brighter than ever before. The energy storm above the planet erupted into a vortex. The alien ships faltered, their systems failing under a surge of unknown interference. Kai shouted over the comm. Commander, the beacon's broadcasting on every galactic frequency. Every species, every world, they can all see us. Ryan stood, looking up at the sky, blazing with fire and light. Then let them watch. He raised his rifle, voice cutting through the chaos. This is for Earth. For every world that ever got told it wasn't enough. The team roared in unison, their voices swallowed by thunder. Above them, the games' feed transmitted images to every corner of the galaxy. Humans standing shoulder to shoulder, dust-streaked, bleeding, defiant. Against the brightest firepower known, they didn't kneel. They smiled, and then the impossible happened. The alien ships began to retreat. One by one, the warlords, watching from orbit, turned their fleets away, unwilling to face the fury of a single species that refused to break. In the observation chamber, silence fell. The Arbiter's voice cracked with disbelief. They won. The silver-skinned observer stood slowly, eyes glinting with something almost like pride. No, they didn't win. They changed the meaning of winning. The storm quieted. The battlefield lay in ruin, lit by the glow of the still-living beacon. Ryan knelt beside Lyra as the med drone sealed her wound. She stirred, eyes opening weakly. Did we make it? She whispered. He smiled faintly. We did more than that. Kai approached, holding his scanner. Commander, the beacon's final transmission, it's not a distress call or a weapon. It's a memory upload. It's sending the story of this battle to every world that can receive it. Ryan stood slowly, the wind carrying dust around him like drifting ashes. Then humanity just became a legend, he said quietly. In the distance, the beacon began to dissolve into light scattering upward, joining the stars. Tessa wiped her visor clean, watching it fade. So that's it? It's over? Ryan shook his head. No, it's just beginning. He looked toward the stars, toward the billions of eyes now watching, now seeing. Because now, he said, voice low and certain, the galaxy knows we're here. The wind rose, carrying the last echo of the beacon's hum, a sound that would haunt the universe for generations. And in that fading light, the humans stood, small, fragile, unyielding, the species that had turned survival into defiance. Silence, the kind that comes after chaos, when the smoke clears and all that's left are survivors trying to remember how to breathe. The beacon was gone. The battlefield was still, painted in the afterglow of burnt skies. Ryan Holt stood among the ruins, helmet off, sweat and blood streaking his face. The wind carried faint whispers, echoes of the battle that had ended moments ago. His team moved quietly around him, patching wounds, salvaging equipment, too exhausted to speak. Then softly Tessa whispered, Commander. Look. Above them the night sky shimmered, thousands of tiny lights moving, forming lines and shapes. Not stars, not ships, messages. Every corner of the galaxy was responding, words in hundreds of languages projected across the heavens, some in praise, some in disbelief, some in fear. Kai's scanner translated one of them aloud. They call us the Fireborn. Aisha exhaled, her tone half laugh, half tear. Fireborn. I like that, Ryan smiled faintly. So do I. In orbit, aboard the Galactic Coliseum, the crowd of billions was deathly silent. The Arbiter loomed above the central dais, its many eyes dimmed. This is unprecedented, it intoned. The humans have disrupted the games, violated half our laws, and altered the arena core itself. The silver-skinned observer stepped forward. They also redefined what the games mean. You defend them? The Arbiter hissed. The observer's green eyes glowed softly. I don't defend. I witness. What I saw down there wasn't chaos. It was creation. They turned death into story. Fear into fire. That's what evolution is supposed to look like. The Arbiter's gaze turned toward the planet below. Then what do we do with them? The observer smiled. Invite them back. Gasps filled the chamber. You would reward this blasphemy? No, the observer said quietly. I would recognize destiny. Back on the surface, Ryan's earpiece buzzed. Incoming transmission. Source unknown. The voice that followed was calm, melodic, and human, yet it carried warmth. Commander Holt, this is the Arbiter. The Galactic Council has reviewed your actions. Ryan straightened, glancing at his team. I'm guessing you didn't call to congratulate us. A pause. Then, you have done what no species has achieved in 10,000 cycles. You survived the games, and changed them. The Council has voted. Humanity is granted status as a sovereign civilization of the Galactic Accord. The team froze. Aisha's eyes widened. You're saying, we made it? Lyra covered her mouth, tears welling. Earth is safe. Ryan let out a long breath. About time someone noticed. The Arbiter continued. But understand this. Your victory has awakened forces beyond the games. You have drawn the attention of things far older than the Council. What you unleashed will not stop with this planet. Ryan's voice hardened. Then we'll deal with it when it comes. You truly believe you can face what's coming? Ryan looked to his team, bleeding, smiling, alive. Belief's a luxury, he said. We make do with stubbornness. For the first time, the Arbiter laughed. A strange, echoing sound. Then perhaps the galaxy will need more humans than it thinks. The transmission ended. The team gathered by the crater where the beacon had once stood. The dust there still glowed faintly, the last trace of the ancient power they had awakened. Lyra crouched, placing her hand on the ground. It's still warm, she murmured. Like it's alive. Kai adjusted his visor. The signal's gone, but something's still moving under the surface, slow, watching. Ryan nodded. Let it watch. Maybe it learned something from us, Tessa smirked. What, how to get in trouble? Ryan's grin returned. Exactly. They laughed quietly, the sound human and fragile and defiant. A ship descended through the smoke, sleek, silver, unmistakably alien. Its ramp opened, revealing the silver-skinned observer they'd seen in the broadcasts. He approached slowly, his eyes filled with something like respect. Commander Holt, I came to see the faces of the ones who rewrote our history. Ryan tilted his head. You got a name? I was once called Kale, the being said. Now, I think I'll take a human name. Ryan smirked. Careful, Kyle. That means you'll start breaking rules, too. Kale smiled faintly. Perhaps that's why I'm here. The games will never be the same again. The Council plans to rebuild them, with humans at the table. Ryan's brow furrowed. You mean as competitors? Kale shook his head. As judges. The team stared, stunned. Kale continued. You reminded the galaxy that competition without soul is just slaughter. You brought meaning back to the games. The question now is, can you do the same for the rest of us? Ryan thought for a moment, then nodded slowly. We'll try. But fair warning, we don't play nice. Kale's smile widened. Good. Neither do the gods you woke. Later, as the humans prepared to leave the scarred world, Ryan stood alone at the edge of the crater. He looked up at the stars. So many, and for the first time open to them. A whisper moved through the wind, soft, familiar. It wasn't words, but he understood. Remember us. Keep the fire alive. He smiled, quiet and reverent. Always. As their ship rose into the sky, the camera feeds across the galaxy captured the image that would be etched into history. 5 humans standing on the ramp of their ship, battered and victorious. Watching the world below fade into light, the headline burned across every galactic channel that day. The games will never be the same, thanks to humans. And far beyond the known stars, something ancient stirred slowly as if waking from a dream. It had heard their defiance. It had seen their light, and it whispered through the void. A promise and a challenge both. Let the next games begin. The ship vanished into hyperspace, leaving only silence behind. But in that silence, one truth remained, clear as starlight, bright as hope. Humanity had entered the galaxy not as conquerors, not as victims, but as the spark that would reignite the fire of all civilizations.